Hey, how you doing? God bless you. Welcome to another time here. Welcome to another time at the book club, another opportunity and privilege, to read a book together and do life together through it. Thanks for coming. I got to do this Sunday afternoons at 2 p.m. West African time, except when I'm not able to to make it. But you're welcome. Great to be here today. And we're going to go through our book, The Confidence Game. That's what we've been reading. It's a night book in the series. And that's what we've been reading. Next month, about the 21st of next month, it's going to be our fifth year doing this. And in 5 years, this is our ninth book in 5 years. So, first of all, grateful to God that we're able to continue doing this, in 5 years. That's good. It's a miracle that we've not had to stop. We've been able to do this since 2021. And February here, next month, is going to be 5 years doing this. And we've looked at several books. This is our ninth book in the series, so I'm privileged to do this. And thanks for coming along. Everything we've had since 2021 is all on YouTube. Uh, from next month, I'm going to start editing and probably taking some old ones away. But you can help yourself with what we have, But here we have the confidence game. That's what we've been reading, just thinking about the 419, the how people mogul people, how people do to people, swindle people. And we're doing this with twin intent. One, to learn enough of it so that you don't get smuggled again, you don't get swindled again. I use the word again because every single one has been swindled. I can guess you have been swindled, have been swindled several times, So it's important for me to learn this as I read this, I start reminiscing, different events where people have conned me, people have deceived me, people have used my good-heartedness, against me, So it's a blessing to read this to understand, the game of life, so I can play it better. We all are playing the game of life in one form or the other, in one way or the other, and whether we win or lose, the function of how knowledgeable are we about the game itself. Amateurs. And how knowledgeable are we about the games itself? A lot of us think things are just normal. Everything is there's nothing more to it. You're seeing things from the surface, and I did just finish a study here in Proverbs chapter 9. Proverbs chapter 9, verse 13 just says you're foolish. If you're that simple, you're foolish. Proverbs 9, verse 13, and I'm not trying to cast your belief to you. I'm just saying the fact, right? Proverbs 9:12 says, the foolish is clamorous. It says a fool, it uses the word a woman there. It says a foolish woman, but the word woman there is unisex, so it's really the foolish person is a noise maker, right? And she is, or he is, or they are, simple, simplicity, and hence by saying knows nothing. You're simple because you know nothing, right? So when we do this, is the intent is hopefully that we can know something so that we will not be simple, will not be foolish, will not be conned, will not be moguled, will not be swindled. The 419 game will not be played against us. As I prepare for today's time together. I was just reminiscing, a young lady that did a phone at me, a young lady, that someone I'd known in the church a long time, though I'd not seen her in a long time. I've still not seen her in a long time. And knowing her as a small girl, little girl, single, knowing when she got married and all of that, my kind heart was to help her. And she kind of abused the help, to swindle me, right? So I could just see it all playing out, the event, right? Yes, I did it out of love, and God knows my heart, and God will reward me, but I'll be foolish to allow someone else do the same thing to me again, right? Because you fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I ought to learn from every event of life, as I prepare and think, look at the different things we'll be sharing. Hopefully I can share about all that transpired and what she did, so that you don't get swindled also. Unfortunately, there are professional swindlers, there are amateur swindlers, and you just find in every area of life. You have pastors that are swindlers, you have non-pastors that are swindlers, you have workers that are swindlers, you have contractors that are swindlers, you have colleagues that are swindlers, bosses that are swindlers. I think it just ties to the human nature. Don't forget, we say that the devil, trained all of them. They are all children of the devil, and it's tied to witchcrafty also. When we read in the Bible, we read Galatians chapter 5. Bible tells us that witchcraft is a work of the flesh. The word witchcraft is a word manipulation. Manipulation is a work of the flesh. So anybody that's operating in the flesh would tend to manipulate or swindle someone else. You really don't need to go to a school to swindle. It's part of the human nature. It's part of the flesh to want to swindle someone else. In the lower nature, we're looking for a win-lose or lose-win, result out of life. That's the lower nature. That's a flesh in operation, right? That's a better result. That's a better place to live. That is called a win-win or no deal place. A place where you do every interaction, with empathy, right? With empathy, not as a sociopath, not caring about what happens to the person you're dealing with. When it comes to others, you say it's business, just business. But when they do it to you, you feel it, and it's not just business, because you're dealing with another human being, who has blood flowing in on the inside. So Jesus comes and tells us, whatsoever you would want, of your own self, so do to other person. Put yourself in that person's shoe. If the tables were turned, what would you want to be done to you? Do the same thing to others. It's called the golden rule. It's called the golden rule, and the diamond rule flows from that also. Consider that person in that person's shoe, not necessarily in your shoe, in that person's shoe, in that person's nature. What would be best for that person? What would that person want to be done to him or her? Do same to that person. Do same to that person. If you follow that, you will not swindle someone else. You will not swindle your neighbor. You will not want to steal, because that's what it is, steal from your neighbor. You will not want to manipulate your neighbor, right? You will not want to manipulate your church members. You will not want to manipulate those working for you. You will not be able to want to manipulate those you are working for. You don't want to manipulate your suppliers. You don't want to manipulate your customers. If you have a good heart, if you belong to the higher nature, if you are doing something that you want heaven's blessing upon it, because when you swindle, you don't get heaven's blessing upon it. You get a curse, not a blessing. You get a curse, not a blessing. You get a closed heaven, and it doesn't last. It's going to catch up with you. If you swindle today, you have to keep on swindling to stay at it. Why? Because heaven is not going to support you, right? Heaven is not going to support you when you do that. You know, so one of the chief end would do this is to know about the game so that you can win at the game, right? The game does not win over you. You can play the game in such a way you come out unsolved, by those trying to swindle you, to sucker you. You don't get suckered, you know. So that's one way. The other thing, reason we're doing it is because there are also principles, attributes that we can use in all the areas of our life. So we're picking those attributes, so we can use in other area of our lives, just to win, to win. We're here to win. We're not here just to pass through. We're not here just to wait to exist. We're here to win. We're here to live. We're here to enjoy life. If you're not enjoying life, then you're wasting the oxygen. The scripture says that, scripturally, Jesus was saying that he has come to give us life. And he has give us ordinary life. He was come to give us life in abundant measure. God wants to give us life to overflowing. There's another part of scripture, that says that give and it shall be given to you, but it will not just be given to you. It'll be given to you, pressed down, shaken together and running over. God deals in abundance. God wants to give you more than you need, more than you want. That's what God wants to give to you. But first, He has to develop you. You have to have the capacity to carry it. Because if you don't have the capacity to carry the blessing will kill you. Right? If you don't have the capacity to carry the blessing will kill you. So that's why we first of all have to develop the capacity before the blessing. The capacity before the blessing, because you only produce after your kind. If you produce something that is bigger than your kind, it will kill you. Right? So that's what we do this, just want to have time together, enjoy time together, and be a blessing to one another. What I do when I could every Sunday, just born out, just born for 1 hour, and we're done with it, and the intent is just to do life together, share from the book, share from my own life, hoping I can learn from your own life also. All of us can grow. The scripture says that the body grows by that we each joint supplies, each joint supply. This is me supplying my part. You can supply yours also. Together we can grow, and grow to the fullest measure of what God will have us to be. We can actualize, we can grow to be the highest expression of all that we're being endowed to be, right? So that we can walk our walk, right? Sing our song, and behold that God wants us to be, and show for that part of God that He has mandated us to show, so that He will be glorified. He will can look down and say, "This is my child, this is my son, this is my daughter, in whom I am well pleased." Right. So thanks for coming along. I'm going to bring up my slide, and we'll continue with our systematic, go through our book. Trying to finish up chapter 3. This is our fifth take in chapter 3, trying to close out chapter 3. Hopefully we can finish it today so we can go to chapter 4. But again, I'm not in a hurry. We're gonna soak. If that after 1 hour here, we've not done with our chapter 3, we'll be back next week, with chapter 3. No hurry. We're gonna soak. Important thing is that our life has changed, not that we're rushing through the book, like I can read this book for the next 10 years if that's what it takes. In testimony, my own life is changing. My own life is getting better. I love the person I am growing to become. I hope you can say the same tune about yourself as you come along with us. But for me, I love the person I am growing to become in every area of my life. I love the person I'm growing to become. I love the husband I am growing to become. I love the father I am growing to become. I love the sibling I am growing to become. I love the cousin I am growing to become. I love the boss I am growing to become. I love the worker I am growing to become. I love the employee I am growing to become. I love the teacher I am growing to become. I love the pastor I am growing to become. I love the coach I am growing to become. I love the mentor I am growing to become. That is success. That is good success. I hope you can say that of yourself also. That is my aim. That's my target, that we all can grow together. We all can have good success together. It's available. It's possible. There's no reason why you shouldn't have it. Right? So let's key back where we stopped last Sunday. Uh all right. I know you can see my slide here, and Facebook and in YouTube and on my website also. So let me try and key to where we stopped last week. I tried to bring up an intro to get us there. All right, so I try to bring up this. This used to be slide. We treated this as like the third slide, but I brought it up just to key us into where we stop from where we stopped. So we've talked about in chapter 2. We talked about what we call the put up or the hookup, pretty much is where we gather data to know what the victim, the mark is, because again, you can't conquer something or someone you don't know. Knowledge is critical, right? To conquer someone, you must have a knowledge of that thing. If you don't have a knowledge of that thing, you can't conquer it. And that's what the con artist does. They get to understand the person, Like I talked about this lady here that conned me here. She knows me. She knows me from church. Everybody knows me. I'm a pastor. You know, I'm a pastor. I'm a teacher. I get to relate with people, and I'm an open book. So I'm the one that is easiest to con to do for one eye on. That's why it's important for me to know this because I'm an endangered species. I'm an endangered species when it comes to people trying to manipulate me because they see my heart. I'm an open book. They see that, and I'm an empath also. I feel other people's feeling so that makes me an endangered species in this wise. But the more I learn about this game, the more protection that I have, the more protection that I have. Someone said something, I believe this past week or the week before that kind of blessed my heart. When you look at the scriptures, it will tell us that faith is both a shield and a sword, a shield and a sword, a shield and a sword, a shield and a sword. But faith comes from knowledge. So knowledge is both a shield and a sword, a shield and a sword. What I know protects me. What I know is something I can use to war. What I know protects me. What I know is something I can use to war. What I know protects me. What I know is something I can use to war. Right? So that's a blessing of reading. That's a blessing of knowing. That's a blessing of doing this book club. That's a blessing it's been to me because I've learned a lot. Maybe that's why God has taken me out from the normal congregation, to do this so that I can garner the things I need to learn at a rate, that the normal congregations cannot keep up with. What I've learned in this 5 years, I wouldn't have learned it any other way, any other place. Right. So along with doing this is also the prayer meetings I get to do Mondays to Fridays. We've had a tremendous study, we're doing and coming on that. We've been studying the book of Proverbs since August 2023, and we're only here just in chapter 10. And there's a lot. There's a lot coming from there. I'm learning a lot. Like I say, the sheet and the sword is making me a better person. And I just hope it is blessing every other person also. I gotta say, even if it's not blessing any other person, I gotta do it. I continue to do it because it's blessing me, right? I'm the first student in all of this. And if I am the only reason God is having me do it, it's good enough. It's good enough because I'm blessed. My life is better. My journey is better. My life is worth the living just because of this. So I pray and hope the same for you. So came back to where we stopped. So chapter 2, we spoke about the put up or the hook up, which is gathering knowledge. You've gathered knowledge. It's what you call intelligence. In military outfits, they gather intelligence. When you go to war, you gather intelligence. The reason for gathering intelligence is for the intent of planning is for the intent of planning. You know, the Desert Fox was an admiral. I admire Field Marshal, German Field Marshal from the Second World War. Yeah, first it was a veteran of the First World War, Field Marshal here in the Second World War. His name is not coming to me, but his code name is Desert Fox. He said that when you put much sweat in the planning, you save blood in the battlefield. The sweat that you're putting into the planning to the planning saves a lot of blood. In the battlefield. Another field marshal that before him would say also just to guide that first statement is that no matter how much you plan, your first impact in the war front throws away all of that plan. Right. So, but that doesn't mean it's wrong to plan or there is a there it is crazy to plan. No, 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 no. It's not. Because when you plan, it's easier to modify that plan to reality in the battlefront. But if you have no plan, then you have nothing. You'll be at a loss. You'll be in panic mode, at the war front if you have no plan. And what kills most people is not the danger, it's a panic. Right. That's why, I work in the whole field, we do drills in the whole fields, right? We simulate the events that could take place, and we practice what we would do when they take place. We call them drills, right? Hey, Mary, you're welcome. We'll call them drills, right? When we do those drills, the intent, right, is to build the response that we're supposed to have in the case of those incident in our mental model, for us to have a mental model, for us to have a habit of what to do, right, when such incident occur. Because if we don't build a mental model of what to do, what's going to happen is that we're going to be in a panic mode. In a panic mode, you have what we call a tunnel vision. You key into the first thing that comes into your mind. Something comes into your mind, you just key into it, whether it's stupid or wise, you just key into it, right? And that kills most people when there's an incident or an accident, right? We have examples, the Twin Tower. You saw people jumping out of the window. What will make a human being, an intelligent human being? That was a trade center. So you have intelligent people there, but they jumped out through the window because they did not have a mental model. They did not have a plan of what to do in crisis. So they jumped out of the window because that's the first thing that hit them. That survival tendency, they jumped out of the window thinking that they are Superman, thinking that they're higher man. They died. There was one incident, I'm not going to go into detail on the incident, you know, where people were supposed to evacuate that facility because that was a protocol. It was a protocol for everybody to evacuate when you have lost control. Everybody evacuated but two. Two went back thinking they could resolve the issue. They had too much love for the facility that they went back thinking they could do something about it. Those were the only two that died. They did not follow what they have been trained to do. They let their supposed thinking, against protocol to deceive them that they could control it. Or no, unbeknownst to them, or they forgot at that point in time that the next thing that could happen is an explosion. If there was no explosion, maybe they would have been able to. But the reason why we evacuate people is that it can get worse. If you assume that it will just be 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 at the same rate of destruction, yes, maybe you can control it. But the thing is that when it comes to gaseous, to explosive gas burning, there's a critical mass or critical combination that it stops just burning. It results into an explosion. That's what killed them. They did not follow the procedure. They did not follow the plan, right? So we do plans, irrespective of the fact that we have to tweak them to meet the reality in the battlefield, the reality in the marketplace, right? The reality in wherever it is that you meet yourself, right? You are better off having a plan than not having a plan. Again, we'll talk about front-end loading. Our plan is our front-end loading. With our plan, we have looked at various things, when we're not in a life and death situation. So we have time to look at, if this happens, this is what we do. If that happens, this is what we do. Or this is the backup. These are the contingencies. You have checked. Oh, do we have that? Do we have that? Oh, we are depending on this. Will it be available? Will it not be available? What do we need to do now to make it available? You've done all of that. By doing that, you have the biggest value by that venture, for that venture. You have the biggest value for that venture because you have thought it through, right? That does not mean that when you get to the war front, everything will be as planned. Nope. That does not mean that unless you have all the full information, you do not plan. Nope. You plan with the best information that you have. Because you don't have all the plan does not mean you don't plan. You plan with the best information that you have, right? And when things changes, you make correction, you make adjustment to fit the reality on ground, right? You don't stick too much. Oh, we are planned, so must stick with our plan, irrespective. Yeah, no. You're thinking being, right? You're thinking being, but your plan will have also indicated the things that can change, the things that should not change. There are some things that should not change irrespective of reality that you face. Your plan will indicate the things that must not change. It will indicate the things that can change, and that will save life. There were two incidents in the aero industry. You know, one by I've forgotten the airlines, but there are two different airlines. One was caused one was caused by a smaller malfunction, right? And one was caused by a bigger malfunction. The one that was caused by bigger malfunction, nobody died. People got wounded, nobody died. The one that was caused by smaller malfunction, a lot of people died, right? It was catastrophic, right? What was the difference? The difference was that the ones where people were saved, they followed the protocol. They followed the protocol that had been discussed and agreed on ever before that incident. When they had an incident, they did not go into panic. They followed the protocol. In following the protocol, they saved lives, even though they were the more should have lost people because of the bigger malfunction. The ones that was a smaller malfunction, they were in panic mode. They did not follow the protocol. They didn't have a mental model or did not follow the mental model they were supposed to follow to save lives. They were in panic mode. Even though it was a smaller malfunction, people died. It was catastrophic because once the pilots entered into the tunnel vision, they were doing all the stupid things they were not supposed to do. They didn't follow, what they're training. They didn't follow the protocols they were supposed to. They allowed their fear have a better of them, and they killed people in that incident. So it's good to plan. It's good. Knowledge is important. The con artist does not succeed if he doesn't do his plan, doesn't get the knowledge. That knowledge is what helps the con artist to succeed. But we also need that knowledge to succeed in any other venture that we're in, any other thing that we find ourselves in, right? So they do get knowledge, and that knowledge then dictates how they play the game, right? They play the game to fit the person they're working with. The lady I spoke about, knew me as a pastor. So, and came in this event. First of all, it's an event when the father-in-law died. The father-in-law was close to me, right? So, and I love the father-in-law, and I wanted to honor his death. That's one of the reasons why I came into to help. They had come in, oh, they needed money to travel this, that, didn't have enough money in honor of the man. I gave them I gave them money for the transport. But that time I really didn't have much. So I wanted to give a little, but I even stretched myself. Oh, well, let me help. Stretch beyond what I was able to, right? And when the lady saw what I gave, she came back. I said, she remembers there's something I was missing. I was just stupid. She had no clue that I did beyond what I could to even help the help that I did. But once she saw that I gave about all that they needed, she now came, no, all right, we missed out something. You missed out something? And I should have caught it at that point in time. But you see, my good heart worked against me. And the con artists know that. They use it. They use our good heart, our good nature, to con us, to sucker us, to swindle us, because they know that a good person will not do this, a good person will not do that, so they use it against you. They use your good nature against you. It's almost like the con artists want everybody to be wicked, because we're all wicked. They won't con us. So if I'm all about myself, nobody can call me. No matter how the story you give, you are dying right now. If I have a wicked heart, I'll just say no. I'll just block it. Right? But in a sense, that's what we need to do to some extent without losing our good nature. The con artists would want us to be bad people, because we are all bad. Nobody can con you. No matter the story you tell. My answer is no. Right? But what does that make me? What does that make me? Someone that is not able to respond to other people's pain, someone that is not able to respond to other people's emotion. It makes me just no different from the con artist, a sociopath. It makes me a narcissist, right? That's the aim of the devil. Devil would want all of us to just be his children, because if you are his children, nobody can con you. But we have to be able to play this game in such a way that we don't lose our essential nature. We're still God's children. We're still good people, yet not be easily taken over by these con people, right? We have to play this game in a win-win scenario, not a lose-win. We don't want to lose our natured person. At the same time, we're not stupid enough that everybody's just manipulating us and bewitching us left, right, and center. That is life. The extremes of life are easy to play the extremes of life. It's easy to be a good person. It's easy to be a bad person. Get in that place where, it's easy to be a bad person where nobody can con you. It's easy to be a good person that everybody is just pushing you left, right, center. That middle place where you are able to be good, but still hold your own ground. Be good and be principled. Be good and be disciplined. Be good and have your boundaries. That is the challenge of life. You must have boundaries to protect you from these people. That we call them healthy and functional boundaries, because you don't want to set boundaries that would deprive you, that will make you no different from a devil, no better than the con actors. So it has to be a healthy one that is nurturing you, one that is still giving you life, one that you like who you are when you look into the mirror, one that someone has not made you or pushed you to be something different or to harden your heart, one that still gives you a heart that's malleable before God, one that still gives you a heart that is hopeful and teachable. Yet no con artist is having you for meal. That's the challenge of life. Knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say no. No, it's easy to just say no to everything. Everything, no, 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 no. Easy. It's also easy to say yes to everything. Yes, 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 yes. The challenge of life is knowing what to say yes to and what to say no to. That's where life is. That's where God is. Right? And it comes from knowledge. It comes from knowledge. Right? Knowledge. Right? Earlier on in the week, I was talking about, in our soul, we have three parts in our soul, right? We have in our soul realm, we have what we call our willpower, we have our emotions, and we have our intellect, right? We have our intellect, we have our emotions, we have our willpower. Our intellect, our knowledge base, which also contains our philosophy, is what we are supposed to use to rule over our emotions and our willpower. When we're deficient in our intellect, our emotions will have the better of us. Our willpower will have the better of us. That's why God said, my people perish for lack of knowledge. We need that knowledge so that we can rule over our emotions. Our emotions are not our master. Our emotions are not a command. Our emotions are mere signals. We need our intellect to give them direction. If you don't give your emotions direction, they'll kill you before your time. If you don't give your willpower, some knowledge to base on, you will not be able to respond or decide when you should decide and to what you should decide. You be one that undecided, right? Or one that takes too much time to decide, right? If you want to be rich, you want to make it in life, you have to be able to make decisions, quick decisions. See, and the only way you can make quick decisions is when your intellect is well fed, when you know your values, you know the things that are for you, the things that are against you, you have a vision, you know where you're going, you know the things that are in line with where you're going, the things that are not in line with what you're going. So when we're deficient in our intellect, then we're not able to use our willpower. Willpower is weak, right? That's why you have people of light virtues. Any small thing they fall, they can be bought. There's a price range. And yes, that prevalent today. Kind of surprising when you talk about women, you talk about body count. I would have thought that should be talked about men. And you just have so many women also having so many body count. You have a woman that is married and can't tell who the father of the child is. That's someone deficient in the willpower. That's someone deficient in emotions. That's someone deficient in intellectual power. That person is handicapped intellectually, retarded intellectually. They have consequence. There's consequence to not having the right knowledge. There's consequence to not having the right philosophy. There's consequence to not having the right direction or knowing your direction. Right? So yeah, so we need to so yeah. So we need to have the knowledge, the right knowledge to be able to regulate, modulate our lives such that we don't become meat or victims to the con game, to people pushing us here and there, right? One of the reason why people fall again for the con game is that you assume that nobody can con you. That's stupid. Everybody has been conned. Everybody can be conned. You have been conned before. Whether you know it or not, you have. You've been manipulated before. Maybe that's the easy word to comprehend. And the easy way to know that, to guide yourself from being manipulated, is to know that you can be, so that you can protect yourself. Because when you feel you cannot be, then you don't protect yourself. Scripturally, the word says that he that thinketh he stands, let him take it lest he falls. He that thinks he cannot be conned, let him take it lest he falls, because he can. It's not about saying you cannot. It's about having the right protection around yourself, right? So the first thing they're going to do is get information about you, because when it comes to the con game, every every person can have a script, a con script written for him or her. There's no one script on the con game. The con game is adapted to who you are. So that's why they get information, they get intelligence concerning you, because they can write a script of a con game that will fit you. They write it to fit you, right? So that's the first thing. And in fitting you, they part of the things they gather around you is they gather, what are your desires? What are your desires? That's one of the information they get around you. What are your desires? Desire to go to heaven, Desire to be a good person. What are your desires? Right? What are your aspirations? What do you want to be? What are your aspirations? And what are the things that are important to you? What are the essential few for you? So you see the script is written around that. The card game, it uses the human nature to get us. So and that's why they get us, because they tie to the human nature, they tie to who we are. And whether you know it or not, you have been well studied. You have been well studied. Along with doing this, I'm a psychologist, right? I do a lot of psychology study. I do a lot of psychoanalysis, how the mind works. And we've all been well studied. The funny thing is that we're all predictable. Yeah, I don't know who you are, but I can tell you one thing: you are predictable. If someone studies you, they know the input that will get the output they want. If someone knows the output they want, they can do the right input to get that output. You're predictable. To think you're not is foolishness. And that's what the Bible says, either think at a stance that cannot it's not predictable. Let him take it, lest it falls. The devil knows. Devil looks for people that think they cannot fall. People that think, oh, I'm all right. I cannot sin. I cannot do anything wrong. Oh, I am this. Those are the first candidate for the devil. Because once you do that, you stop manning your gates. You leave your gate open because you think that nobody can steal from you. So you leave your gate open, no protection. The devil loves people like that. It's going to run riot on you. By the time it's done with you, you'll be sorry you ever left your gate unprotected. Eve was like that. Eve thought everything was okay. I cannot sin. I cannot do anything wrong. She was carelessly walking around the garden. She didn't have protection for her heart. She didn't have the don't do. Yeah, God told them about the tree, don't do, but you have to make it personal. If you don't personalize the God's instruction and God's word, there's no guarantee you obey it. God said, how am I going to keep God said? Right. God said, don't commit fornication. Yes, that's God said. So what do I need to do to make sure I don't commit fornication? What are my weaknesses in that area? What are my strengths in that area? How can I use my strengths? How can I guard against my weakness? We're not the same. We're not the same. We all have different temperaments. So what brother A and sister B will do to obey God's law might be different from what I need to do. A might have grown up with girls so much that he doesn't know the difference, and he's able to keep himself. Maybe I grew up with boys, and once I see a woman like this, it becomes something strange I've not seen before, and everything on my body goes crazy. I would need a different functional and healthy boundary from what A needs. He might have been wayward before coming to Christ and all of that, and because of that, he's used to it. He's done everything doable, so he knows how to keep himself. You might be coming from a different world. So when it comes to protecting yourself, there are generals and there are peculiars and there are personals. You are the one that knows the thing you're trying to achieve. Yes, learn from a general, but also because you know yourself, set things that would work for you. It might not be the same as what is working for other people because you're not the same. Know yourself. Know yourself. Text maxim, in the Greek, in the Greek temple, know yourself, and followed by to thyself be true. But you can't be true to the person you don't know. Know yourself, and to thyself be true. What you know about yourself be true. You are not the same as everybody else. You are you. There are things that are common, but there are things that are particular because of the way we grew up, that our background, our history, our tribe, experience of life. They matter. They have damaged you in particular specific areas. So you have to know the strengths you have gotten from there and the weaknesses you have gotten from there. Exploit the strengths. Protect yourself from the weaknesses. The con artist that finds out about those will also use it against you. Your con artist will try to use your weaknesses against you because it's a predictor. And every predictor targets weaknesses. The con artist is not going to attack your strength. The con artist will attack your weakness. The lady that came to 419 me did not attack me in the area of my strength. She attacked me in the area of my weakness. She knew I had a soft heart. She knew I love to help people. She knew I feel other people's feeling. And that's where she came into. And I there just thinking this was an innocent lady. I didn't know better. I was trying to help. Thought I was helping someone. Yes, I suspected some things, but I still felt, a Christian can't do this. I learned. I learned. No, we generally say that if I have a job and someone comes and starts saying that he's a pastor, oh my God, you go up. Because that person is most probably a 419. Because a true pastor won't even tell me he's a pastor. He will let it be shown in what he does. But when someone starts putting pastor in front of his name, reverend in front of his name, most often than not, that person is a con artist. I see people that, in politics, pastor that. They're the worst, they are worst of people where you say, tell me here about the things they do. Let your life sell you. Let your doing sell you. Stop carrying your title to intimidate people and deceive people and con people. And we all need to be careful also not to be conned just because someone is carrying a title, bishop, so and so. Bishop rapes member. Titles mean nothing. Get surprised people that supposedly have anointing chasing after title. It's because they are empty. They have nothing. If you have something, you don't need title. What you have will sell you. People will rush after what you have. If you have something to give, people will come to you. If you have nothing to give, then you start covering your emptiness with titles. So be careful. Be careful. Everybody can be conned. You just need to know yourself and just know that there are a lot of people out there. They're there in the church, they're there in your workplace, they're on the road, they're in your family. You have them in your family, no matter how sin your family is, you have them in your family. You have them in your neighborhood. They're just trying to say, what can you get out of this person? They feel that you have too much money with you, and that part of their money is with you. So they want to come get that part of their money that's with you. Only you know what the money is for. So you must have a budget, have a plan for your money, because if you don't have a plan for your money, other people will too. Right? All right. So once they have knowledge of you, the next thing is using that knowledge against you, and one of the first things that is done in doing the play of a con, is setting the bait, right? Setting the bait. Obviously, you have a bait at the end of a hook. So it's the hook, right? The hook has a bait because there's always a prize, to draw you in, right? And it's a promise which you don't get. it's a promise with chaos at the end of it. Well, that's what a hook is, right? On a hook, you have a bait, the fish goes for the bait, but gets imprisoned, right? So, like we said also predictors, look for your weakness, when you're on a zooming and you're going for the bait, thinking that there's nothing beyond just what you're gunning for. Whereas there's a hook, behind on the what the bait is. But that's a whole idea. Uh that's the whole idea of the hook, So in the hook, you have a bait, to lure the victim in, and you build their desire on that bait, and you get what it is that you're trying to get from them. That's what the con artist does. And the con artist then gets them to accept their loss, So those are just four different parts, other than four different parts in playing the con game, It's hooking the person, getting the person interested, luring the person in, by selling what it is that you have to sell to the person, getting whatever it is they want to get from the person, and getting to the person that he gets okay with the loss. And we'll look at each of those. So looking at the hook, the hook, like we said, is pretty much getting the person interested. So once they know about their victim, it's now getting to hook the victim, right? So, and typically this is done by what they know about the person. One of our authors, Paul Wilson would say that if I know what you want, I can take everything you have, right? So if someone knows what you want, they can use it to get anything from you. And this comes in every area of life, in boy-girl relationship. Boy knows what girl wants, and because boy knows what girl wants, he uses what girl wants to to um to abuse girl, right? That's how people lose their virginity, right? And get sold out to a boy for years, and the boy ends up not marrying them because they were hoping to get what they are looking for from the boy, which the boy used as a bait, right? So you see, this comes in every area of your life, boy girl relationship, right? So you have a lot of boys doing that. You also have a lot of girls doing that. A lot of girls also, that knows what the man wants. Is this sex you want? We'll give you the sex. We'll give you the sex, and we'll get what we want from you. That's why you have uh side chicks. Side chick is this sex? Your wife's not giving you enough sex. We'll give you sex for as long as you're funding our life, right? It's not for internet or marriage. Oh, we'll give you sex. Abi, and you get, and I'm doing with several people. Right. So it can come in terms of relationship. It can even come in terms of husband and wife. You're married. Your wife can use the sex as a weapon. Man can use the money as a weapon, can use affection as a weapon, but those are all dysfunctional relationship, right? Healthy relationship, like we say all the time, is one where two people come together, in marriage, two people, but it is a bigger relationship other than marriage. People come together because not because of what they can get, but because of what they can give, right? It's not what they can get, it's what they can give, right? That's a healthy relationship. Any relationship you go into because of what you can get is not a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship is always got it into because of what you can give, not what you can get. If a man marries a woman because of status, it's not a healthy relationship, right? If a man marries a woman because she's good at sex, it's not a healthy relationship. And that sex will not last though. Good in sex might be for the first 3 years. It might change. So will you divorce after 3 years? And that's sweet. Everything that is looking blown up It's not going to be like that all the time. Oh, that's why a lot of people go into divorce after the wife takes in, is pregnant, so everything is out of shape. You know, that's because that's the only reason you go to wedding. That's why they start having they start cheating now because they went into it just because of those things. They are not. They will change either temporarily or permanently. Right? A healthy relationship is not one you go into because of what you can get. It's one you go into because of what you can give, not get. Give, not get. However, the paradox is what keeps it together is what you get, not what you give. Right? Is you get something because you're giving. It's a law of nature. It's a law of sowing and reaping. If you go into it because of what you're giving, you'll get something out of it. And really what you get is what keeps it together. That's a healthy relationship. I'm at the hour mark. I'm going to stop here. We're going to start back here at the hook next week. Uh, I tried to go back and try and make this flow, but it's taking us more time than I planned, but it is what it is. We're going to have part six, still on chapter 3 next week. So thanks, Mary. Good having you here. God bless you. I hope you learned one thing or the other. I hope you enjoyed our session. Feel free to comment, feel free to join in, feel free to ask any question or contribute on anything I shared today, but thanks for honoring me with your presence. Thanks for everyone on YouTube. Thanks for everyone on my blogging site also. My sister made it in today. Omolade, how are you doing? Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed the last beat you had. Everything is recorded on YouTube, Facebook, so you can get all the things you missed. Anyways, have a good one. God bless you. Shalom. Have a great week ahead. See you same time next week, Sunday. God bless you. Bye bye.